Keri Smith, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I am doing swimmingly. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for driving out from Nampa, correct?
Caldwell.
Caldwell.
Actually. Yes,
it's like
it was
45,
quite the
50
drive.
minutes.
It was, but I loved it. It's beautiful.
Apparently, there is the family that makes Teton something or other chips that just moved out, did an operation out Todd Kearney.
Yes.
Yes. They make their potato chips with beef tallow.
Okay.
And they just set up a spot out in Caldwell. I'm dying. Do you know these people? You have to know these people.
I've heard about them,
You're
but I
probably
don't know
best
them
friends
yet.
with them. I want to go see the beef tallow fryer.
You need to.
Because I want my guilty pleasures, like an incredible potato chip, and I just want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Are you putting the beef tallow on your face?
Can I tell you something? This is really embarrassing. I don't think I've washed my face since I was 16.
Oh, I'm shocked.
I have great skin.
You do? Wow.
I don't moisturize. I don't believe in. Listen, if you see any pictures ever, in like National Geographic of like native tribes people in the Amazon, they're not putting a bunch of crap on their face. They don't have blemishes. They don't have skin problems. They don't shampoo. They're fine. They also don't take out the wisdom teeth, and they have plenty fine teeth. True story. So for me, it's like, you know what, man? Whatever God gave me on my face, I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
The women in the world, we kind of have to put stuff on our face. I think it's an expectation. And so, yeah, we're washing it after the day is over and putting a little beef tallow on.
God, I have a friend who makes her own
my daughter.
beef tallow bomb. Like,
My daughter just did it.
Love that.
Yeah.
I have a very hippie ribbon in my family, and it just spins all the way through. And my oldest sister convinced my siblings and my mom at one point that the way to deal with teenage acne, I was 13 watching the horror show.
Okay.
The way to deal with teenage acne is to rub organic whole unpasteurized whole milk yogurt onto your face to reculture your skin. So as a child, a young person, I remember watching my brother and sister rubbing yogurt onto their face to get rid of their acne. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but it just doesn't seem right.
Did it work ever?
No, of course it didn't work.
Okay.
You can't solve all the world's problems with white vinegar and, unpasteurized yogurt. Like, as much as people think they're like, just use vinegar. I'm like, it's a broken bone. Like, it's literally, you know what it is? It's like the contemporary version of using Windex from My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Gosh. There was a period I had family members that were doing that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to name any names, but...
Are you Greek?
No.
Oh,
but they all love the movie.
Oh my God. The husband is the head and the wife is the neck. That was a good line.
It was.
Anyway, you work with Growing Together.
I do.
It's an organization that helps educate people. Here's the thing. Like, there is a lot of growth going on.
Yeah.
A lot of uneducated people about what that growth is. And more than that, we have hit our quota for people that want to argue about public policy online. Like, we hit it years ago.
Yeah.
And so you guys really work together to advocate, like, look, let's educate you on what is what, not tell you what to do, and then educate you on the process of actually being heard in a normal civic-minded situation.
Right. So we are focused on Canyon County. And previously I was a county commissioner. And so...
How was that, by the way?
Oh, it was an awesome service, but I'm one and done. And so I learned a lot from it. I had started at the county like 21 years ago as a land use planner, and then kind of worked my way up, went through City of Caldwell, did economic development there, and then all the way to county commissioner. And it's a very different role in the political climate. I was like commissioner when COVID hit. And so they put me on the health board. We were handling all the COVID dollars. Like it was a wild time in life. So I was a one and done, but I did love the things that I accomplished, like the sheriff's office admin building. I kind of helped Kieran Donahue get that funded through the COVID dollars.
Oh, wow.
And so even the center for the Canyon County Fair helped get that funded and built, implemented like pay raises for the sheriff's department. I did some really cool things in like such a short window of time. Got our schools opened back up,
God
which
bless
most
that.
people, I was so frustrated with the schools being closed down. So that was really cool. But
how if I may ask, how long were they closed?
we closed Didn't like the go home order, was that in the spring? Like you had to stay home? Yeah, I can't remember. It was
like mid-March, right?
Yes. And then, so they shut it down for the end of the school year. We had the summer, and then some of the schools were not like going back in the fall. And so I ended up pulling my kids from Valley View and moving them to Homedale because Homedale was open.
Oh, yeah.
And lots of people were making all sorts of shifts. So it was brutal. And so the main thing that I did to help get the schools open, they had that color code system. We were living by color codes. And I was like, no, we have to get rid of that. We're just going to, like, it's more important for our kids to be in school. So it was a big thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. May I ask, coming back to the broader topic, you have this problem with land use, right? And or if I say this problem, it's like, okay, which one? Okay, so you have a lot of problems with land use. One of the problems that seems to be this constant tension is ag versus developed land. Okay, now the real problem, as I see it, and again, you can correct me, is that the actual solution, first off, we need ag land for a myriad of reasons, not the least of which is the tax base, because I think we get like, what is it, $1.40 for every dollar that is spent on emergency services and county services for ag land, we get $1.40 back in taxes. And then I think the reverse is true for residential. Ag. Yes, for residential, you only get, if you spend $1, it's 70 cents you get back in taxes.
No, it's like it's a deficit.
Yeah, net loss.
Yeah, net loss.
So if you spend $1, if you're the county and you spend $1 to take care of a residential area, you only get 70 cents back in taxes. So you're losing, right? Yeah. So we need, from a tax base, from a food security base, all these things. The problem is we continue to build low density housing more and more and more, and we're pushing things out. Now, people want ag land, but they also don't want density. And that's the battle that we come down to, which is like, if you can't stop people from moving here. So get rid of that nonsense out of your head. But if you want to keep your ag land, you have to square filling in, either infill or building up somehow.
100%.
Like, help me understand the tension here.
That's 100% what we've been advocating, because there always has to be, one of the things that people have said a lot in when you talk about property rights and agriculture and growth is, well, how do you solve the problem? And one of my worst things that I ever hear is that agriculture is dead, and that at some point agriculture is going to be taken out of the Treasure Valley, just like Meridian lost it. Ada County has quickly been losing it. We're going to lose ag is basically what they said. And we need to move it back out. I love it when they say, let's move it back out further into the Waihees. Let's keep developing the desert, essentially, because like essentially in Canyon County, it was the desert. And when they built Lake Lowell and all of the drainage systems, like that's why we have incredible agriculture, is because of the water that was provided to those areas that wasn't originally available. But the process to get that ever done again seems not feasible. And so what we are trying to do is, getting back to the question, is we have to find a balance in this community with getting people educated on infill, and infill really is the way to go, and that multifamily and going up is not that scary. There's so many people that think that it causes crime, and that, there's so many myths out there about what that does. But I think as a community, we have to decide if agriculture is important to us. And there's so much ag ground left in Canyon County. There's a lot, and it's like the #1 economy in the state of Idaho. And so it's worth saving. And so I think for us, we are out there and talking about what property rights are and what the tools in the toolbox are and how decisions are made, and getting an informed base, getting them outside of their houses and not behind their computers anymore, and getting people involved is what it takes.
When you say people are worried that density causes crime, is that just because they look at some of the densest areas in the country and they're like, okay, so like downtown San Francisco, or like Chicago or like Boston, they're like, you have more crime there. And so they're like, ergo, this is clearly the one deciding, not just correlated, but causational factor. It must be the density of the housing that created the crime.
I think that's a safe assumption. And I think that people are also making a false assumption that all dense places are low income, and that's not true either. We have a whole different like shifting demographic of people, and has the 20s and 30s age group. They don't necessarily want land to take care of anymore. They want to be free. They want places that are maintaining open space for them, like all sorts of reasons. But so the myth that it's just low income is absolutely not the case anymore. And so there's lots of examples across the U.S. If you'd look you don't even have to look that close. You can see lots of examples that high rise can absolutely be the higher end.
I mean, have you ever heard of Manhattan?
Right.
Right. But the thing that I keep getting tripped up on with a lot of people when we discuss density and like, problems with it is I don't understand what they want the 20s to do. Like the 20-year-olds don't need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath on a third of an acre.
Exactly.
And now if they want it, like I would have loved that. Okay. Like, and I was very fortunate to buy a house in my 20s and, when like awesome. And by the time I got that, it was like, okay, this is when I need a backyard. But until then, like I'm not saying I loved it, but like I did stints in an apartment complex. We were like for like a year or something, and then other things. But the point is with somebody who's trying to build an economic engine for themselves, right? Trying to build a career, trying to build earning power, you don't need those types of things, especially in that stage of your life and financially that stage of your life. Like you don't need that financial burden. So I don't understand it. What is the solution then in people's minds? They're like, okay, we shouldn't have density. What do we do with the people aged 18 to 30 that like, do we encourage them to go all rent 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses?
It's wild.
Right? Like, and what about the family? What about the families that want instead of the 19-year-old? And how is the 19-year-old going to afford those?
Right. And I think that's what we're seeing across the board is that you can't, that we're having a hard time getting the youth to make their first purchases in homes. And so I think part of it is making sure that we have developers in this community that are interested in building products that we have not really seen traditionally in
like cottage communities
Idaho.
Or something.
Cottage communities would be good, but those are still single family and still like, single level in most cases. Some of them are 2 levels, but they're still not the most, like they're not going to end up penciling like I was saying for the high rises. And not that we need high rises when I say that. I'm going to scare everyone.
Yes,
off.
You did. You want the 40-story.
I want the 40-story in
middle of Caldwell.
Middleton. No, just teasing Middleton. But I think there's a balance for us, and what high rise means to someone in Idaho is very different from what a high rise means from someone in Manhattan.
Sure.
And so finding that balance, but it needs to be something that is creative. So I'm really big on like Indian Creek Plaza. I helped develop that. And so that was creating a sense of place and a place of where people can gather. And so people are craving that type of environment to live and even work. And so I would like to see developers really get creative on creating spaces that people have. Like I work from home also, and I know that as the more I work from home, like I withdraw a little bit from the public.
Right.
And so I think about places now where can I go and work that I'm not going to get overly distracted, but I can be surrounded by other people. And I think our demographic in Idaho is also switched to remote workers. And so how do we provide spaces for those guys? And it really has to stay within the cores where our services are at, because it can't just be building a high rise 5 miles from the city. That's not going to save us any money in taxes. It's placing people in homes where the services already exist. That's how we kind of balance our tax deficit.
Man, the capacity for people to bring their jobs here. When I was living in my former state, I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. I remember reading an article years ago about people being able to make money not geographically centered. Right. And the argument that the author was making of the article was essentially like, look, we're actually going to find out where the good places to live in the world are, because you don't have that, like, you got to be in the office 9 to 5. You don't have all these things. And that's going to be interesting because we're going to engage in a great settling. Like everything got tossed up and now it's going to settle around where people want to be. That seemed to be great. But it also seems that that's probably the nucleus of most problems with Idaho's affordability issue, because you're able to, we've always had retirement people, right? Deriving retirements, living off pensions and retirements that weren't derived off the local economy. So they were made in an area where you're making $200,000 or $300,000 and you get, 85% of that. That's a big chunk of change. And then you move somewhere where people are only making 100. Well, now you're living like a king. So again, the pension is not derived in that localized area. That's a problem. But then you go one step further. It's like, no. Not just a pension. Like I have a buddy right now. He does online apparel sales. The guy makes between like $1 million and $2 million a year, and or more. I don't even know what he does now. And he doesn't have to be anywhere. He lives here. He's a great guy, great family. And, he doesn't live crazy or extravagant. They're very humble people. But the capacity to generate and pool income and resources like that without having any geographical ties, that's what leads to houses going for like $1.5 million when the average person living in that area is making $75,000.
Right.
What do we do? What do we do about that, Keri? How do we outlaw this?
We're not going to outlaw it.
You're not going to do that.
I think that's one of the things too, when we talk about like saving agriculture, everyone wants us to say that we're going to start controlling who you can sell your land to. That's never the solution. Like I've never said I want to save ag and stop Farmer Smith from selling his land. That's never the answer.
Yeah, because Farmer Smith's your brother. You don't want
to. Thankfully, I only have a sister.
Thanks, John.
But, I would tell them or who they can sell their land to. No, but really, when you think about it, it's got to be a solution that if you're really thinking about intentionally planning, it starts at the community level, and there has to be like, I could get geeky in planning, like it's a comprehensive plan for each community.
Sure.
Who do they want to be like as a city, and what do they value? What is important to them? And then you start basing decisions and technically you have to create the criteria that supports the decisions that you want based on what you value. And so if cities were able to like really think about who are we and what do we want to be and what's important to us, and then they started making decisions or criteria for those decisions based on that, I think we'd see some really cool change. And then if you're looking at the different demographics and the ones that have chosen to live here because they can work from anywhere in the world, we offer, Idaho, especially this valley, we have 4 seasons. Not everyone gets to say that, and they're all fun seasons.
Right.
And so creating those, like I was thinking about when you said the 50-year-olds and the people that are retiring. Have you ever seen a community where I feel like people are missing, like I'm going to be a grandma probably in the next 5 to 10 years. And if I was going to like be retired and like want to downsize from my 5 acres, where would I go? Well, I want grandkids. So am I going to have a place where they can have a pool to swim in? Are they going to have a playground to play in? And do I have to have a traditional neighborhood to have that experience for my grandkids to come see me? You think I do?
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Where would I go?
Just because I think that's what you want me to say. I don't know these things.
It's true though. But
where would you go? Yeah, sure.
I don't know that there is places where I could go without having a traditional like subdivision. I know that in other areas, some developers are getting creative and they're creating these like 55 plus communities.
Sure.
But when you think about a 55 plus community, you're normally thinking about just the person who's aging. You're not thinking about the quality of life that person really might try to have when it comes to having their families come back into their homes and being able to care for people when they come. And so I think we just have to keep getting outside of the box, and people need to do that right now before
it's too late.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to repatriate the farm ground.
Right.
Here's a question for you though. Everything you've said, I don't know anybody who I've ever met in Middleton, Caldwell, Nampa, anywhere that would disagree. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to keep ag. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's no disagreement there. So when you're like, hey, look, we have to get the community to get on the same page, it's like, aren't we already on the same page? Or is it that you're like, we want to save ag, so we're going to have to increase density? They're like, no. Like, right. Is that the issue? That the only solution to saving ag at some level is that you have to increase density. And that's when the conversation goes to hell, because it's like they want to save ag, they don't want density. And these are two things that they hold absolutely as firmly as possible in their fists. Yes.
And so let me give you an example sort of to answer that question.
Sure.
I was sitting in a meeting with a unnamed city. And
And it rhymes with AMPA.
it wasn't.
I'm just kidding. I'm
No,
just kidding.
it wasn't Nampa. But it was
Aldwell.
No. Okay, so I'm in this meeting.
Oh my gosh.
And in the meeting, we were talking about ways to solve this problem. How do you save agriculture? So one of the things I had kept talking about was this whole infill. Like, we've got to start working on this. And the comment made back was, Keri, you know that infill is more expensive than development on the peripheral area of this city. And I said, you know what? I do get that. And until you stop allowing development of farmland, infill is always going to be too expensive. And so one of the things that, I don't know, did anyone ever, like, over the last few months, did you hear about like all the area of impact updates that were happening in all the cities?
And everybody losing their minds.
Oh my gosh. And so that is, areas of impact are kind of like, I feel like an Idaho beast. It's like an area, and they got way out of control. So like, honestly, kudos to the legislature for making some laws that said, we're going to pull these area of impacts back. There were areas of impact that were plus 2 miles large. They were like...
And to be clear, an area of impact is, okay, the city acknowledges we are growing in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we are asking is the people of the area that we're growing start considering our utility systems and our planning systems and everything, because we are coming this direction. So we're kind of like, we're lightweight marking this for future annexation or future grabbing. And we just want you to consider that. And people started grabbing gigantic swaths of land and saying like, this should be ours. And then the other city's like, but I want it. And then like people start arguing, and it's a whole big problem.
Yeah, but really what ended up happening, because again, I've been in land use planning for over 20 years. What ended up happening was these big areas would be created, and the counties still managed these areas. So there would be these joint executive power agreements. They would be put in place between the city and the county. And like how you described it, it sounded like, you know, the city is putting these constituents on notice that we're going to grow in these areas. It wasn't really like that. It was more of real estate agents, developers were using these as tools to say, they would go to the county and say, hey, this is in the area of impact, so we would like to develop this 1 acre lot subdivision. Well, that wasn't really what it was intended to do. It was to be what you described, where a developer would be coming in, they would be working with the city to extend services. They would be looking at what other types of full community range services were there, like access to schools, parks, all of that. But that wasn't happening over the last 20 plus years.
So they were attempting to utilize the articulation or signaling from the city. They're like, the city's growing in this way. Let's go to the county, get them to approve the subdivision that they wouldn't have approved otherwise because it's in the area of impact.
Yes, and at a rural density. And so they were approving lots of 1 and 2 acre lots that are in these areas of impact, which there are lots of people that want those. Like we were talking earlier before the record about like hobby farms and like gardens and like all the stuff that people want to come here and experience. Sure. And that makes sense, except that when you are using a tool that was meant to
align services and infrastructure,
and it ended up getting abused for the last 20 years, which is why now we have rural sprawl, which is why we have such a massive deficit between agriculture and residential and what it brings in for taxes and what it does. I mean, think about it. The city of Caldwell, and again, that's my city, so I know it the best. But if you drove straight from one side to the other and then went north and south and then east and west, it's like over 21 miles long for a city with 70,000 people. Right. That is so big. And so what do you have to do when you're 21 miles long? You have to maintain all the water lines, the sewer lines. You have to maintain all the roads, the sidewalks, the street lights, all of it. Gas or trash, school busing. It's so far. And that's why when you really think about it, why is it costing us so much? Because we have to go so far.
Right.
And so what I would love to see, I think the next step will be, let's stop talking about areas of impact and let's maybe start creating urban growth boundaries. And an urban growth boundary is a little bit more solid. So if I was like looking at, here's my city, and you drew a bubble around it, that's kind of where you would say, this is where growth is going to stop. And we're we're managing growth within here, and then this is where agriculture is going to continue to thrive, and that's where agriculture would exist. The problem is going to be if you're the farmer on the other side of the line, why me? Why are you not allowing me to develop? And
yeah.
that's where it's going to get sticky.
Do you know Sam Eaton? Potato Sam? Spud Sam?
I don't know if I've met him.
He's a guy who works with the Potato Commission.
Okay.
I was chatting with him just this morning.
Okay.
And there are problems with protectionist governments throughout the world, right? Japan apparently is one of them. They are very, very protectionist of their potato crop. I'm like, I had no idea. Amazingly, we ship a ton of rice to them, but they get really sketchy when it comes to potatoes. Okay. And because of that, it's funny because when other countries do it, people in the United States don't say anything about it. But when we do it, everybody cries, hey, you're going to increase the cost of potatoes because if you just allowed, Mexican potatoes or Irish potatoes or any other potatoes, I don't know, whoever throwing potatoes, then we would get a better deal because there would be more potatoes here, right? One of the problems with urban growth boundaries is as you artificially constrain the available land, you drive up the cost of development. Now, as you're pointing out, there is no way to make infill the most economically viable option or at least draw people's attention. It's like, okay, even if it's not economically viable now, what would you need? Right? Like come to the city and say, look, it cost me too much in a current iteration, but if you could help me with this and this and this, I think I could actually make this pencil out and you guys would get more housing. We would be able to make money developing and it would be infill, all of these things. So you have to put yourself in front of people that are going to say you are part of the reason things are more expensive. And I don't think anybody wants to be that person.
That wants to take that political stand because it becomes political.
Then you're you're none and done. Like it's like me. I will be a none and done.
Yeah.
I'll never apply for anything or campaign for anything. But the point is like that's one of the problems, right?
It is. And really, it is like there could not be a more true statement that as long as we keep allowing the sprawl to happen, that is always the cheapest form of development. And so someone is going to have to take a stand and they're going to
fall on the sword.
They're going to have to, I think. And one of the things that I think is great about the Local Land Use Planning Act, which is the statewide adoption of code that kind of set up planning and zoning for each of the municipalities, is that it gives that right to plan within each of the municipalities. Well, just because, like, let's say that you and I were the commissioners for the day and that we were like, you know what, we're going to fall on the sword and the right thing to do is to create an urban growth boundary. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Here's the line.
Here we go.
You and I get unelected. The next set of people that follow us, they can undo what we did. It takes a process, but they can do it. And so that's one thing where I feel like someone can be bold and make some really tough decisions that are the best thing for us. And the community needs to really stand behind those people that make those hard decisions and step up to the plate. Because like what you said earlier, like we're all on the same page. We all want to protect this. Well, then show up when it means it. Don't let the few that are being impacted financially continue to make all the decisions for us at the polls. Like everybody needs to show up to land use hearings and they need to show up to vote.
There are other states that have engaged in urban growth boundaries. I think Oregon is in fact one of them. What is there success in the areas that have artificially constrained the spots to develop? Right? Like, is that something you're like, look, you saw it in Montana, or like, look, you saw it in Kentucky, or look, like, is there, you can't point to any of the coastal states, obviously, not that you should, but are there other areas where like, yeah, look, they've addressed this problem where they were predominantly ag economy and they were able to protect their ag sufficiently?
Yeah. And I did not, I could look those up. There are quite a few communities out there that have done it and they are thriving, but I don't know that the developers in that community would say that development is thriving. You can see very clear that if you're intentional about community growth within, I think it takes two thriving ecosystems. One that is on the outside of the urban growth boundary that believes in what they're preserving.
Sure.
So if you have a county that says, you know what, we're going to support this. And really, agriculture comes from the top down in Idaho. I mean, ag is the number one economy for the state of Idaho. And so if there's some more push from the state level saying, hey, we can't lose this resource, county commissioners support it. And then you have a city that then is like, let's say that you adopted a code that said, we're going to do some trade-offs. If you're on the outside of the urban growth boundary, we're going to let you do some like transfer of development rights and encourage some infill. I think that there's ways that would be trade-offs, but win-wins. But it would require cities and counties to work together, and then the state maybe to come in with some incentives for that. So really like a top-down approach that everyone's working together, and it'd be really cool if people got into a room and like kind of figured that out.
Hashed it out. There's an anxiety, I think, a really bad taste left in most cities' mouths from 389. Right, which obviously worked very hard specifically for the taxpayer, saying like, okay, look, I actually had a fantastic conversation with Chuck Stoddick, Councilman Stoddick from Caldwell about this. And again, the idea was, hey, look, the people existing here shouldn't pay more because other people moved in. That's just not fair. And 389 passes, and again, took the city's capacity to deal with its own tax burdens out of the hands of the city. And there was a real frustration, at least with some cities in the area, that are like, look, man, you stay in your lane, we'll deal with our own tax situation. And, again, the Speaker Moyle has obviously defended his decision, saying, look, the cities weren't doing anything and the constituents were really, really upset. How do you see this relating to that, in that you have the capacity to, let's say the state level is like, all right, look, anybody over X population has to develop an urban growth boundary, or anybody with an agricultural economic base of X has to develop this because this is what needs to happen, right? Those people would be like, why are you peeing in our Cheerios? Like, leave us, the cities, alone. You go do your own thing. We'll figure out what's right for us. Like, that just seems like another dead end that would frustrate people.
It would, but like that goes back to me just saying that it's going to take a top-down approach, because just how I said we would get unelected if we made that decision. And I think it's very true, because cities that are having, like, I don't know if we should name cities, but there are cities in Ada County and Canyon County that have just, like when I grew up here in the 90s, and I was driving to each of them, those cities, those little cities, are unrecognizable now. And so when you say that the people that lived there shouldn't have to pay for all that growth, they're already paying for it. Like that law came in and it was really good. I think I'm glad they passed it. Some of my city friends would just hate me for saying that.
Sure.
But really, it was the first time that anyone in the state said, hey, you got to start thinking about what the cost of services is, and you can't keep passing it along. We need to do something about the schools at this point, because if I hear one more person say, why isn't the city council or the county commissioners passing school impact fees? Well, because the legislature won't allow it. Well, legislature, we probably need you to do that, because right now, the only way that we're paying for schools are by growth. And then really you're not keeping up. And so
no, you're not.
It needs solved. And so I really hope the state would step in and say, here's the economies that we have to protect. Here's what's making the state go round and round, and how we're thriving, and then set some policy based on that, because otherwise, that I think that too is what the local representatives, why we elect those representatives, so that they're looking at the bigger picture and advocating for the people that have lived here for a long time.
Man, the school funding.
Brutal.
It's brutal. And here's one for you that I had not anticipated. There is a collection of people in, let's say, the Middleton area that are very school oriented and very much like schools. And Middleton obviously has been very unsuccessful at running bonds, 100% unsuccessful at running bonds to try to build a new elementary school. And the people that were advocating for public education were also voting against the bond because we have open enrollment. They're like, why should we foot this bill on the Middleton populace when we have people coming from Eagle and Caldwell and all over the place to go to Middleton? They're not paying for this system,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, damn, man, I had not thought about that. But that's true too. So they object just on principle. They're like, this is poor legislation. Like, if you want people to bond out to build something, then you should assure them that only the people that live there and are paying for the bond have access to the spoils.
Yeah, it's true. Think about too, like this is a whole nother concept, but how many school districts we have? I mean, in Canyon County alone, there's like, we have every city has a school district. We've got Valley View School District.
Valley View doesn't care at all. It's all over the place.
All over the place. And like Valley View is growing at such a rapid rate, yet Caldwell
is contracting.
They are. And so it's like, at what point does the state jump in too and say, you know what, we've got, and Nampa too, they're closing elementary schools.
Going to 4 days a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so at what point, who's going to be that person that steps in and says, hey, this isn't working. We can't have schools just closing down in one area and then another area is having to build brand new schools. What waste? And you think about like how many superintendents we're paying for across the state of Idaho, how many, I mean, the duplication of effort is.
Yeah, the admin stuff. But then you get mega districts like West Ada, where you're not connected. Like, there's no continuity. You have like 45 campuses or something in West Ada. Like, it's a gigantic number compared to like Marsing, where they have one campus. It's like Norm Stewart, the superintendent, who I've had on the show many times. I really enjoy the guy, and he's in charge of like 850 students, and they do incredible things with very few resources. And they are like, I kind of like, I wish I had an experience where I could understand what that school was to that community, because they have instances where
Marsing,
where people, like very unfortunately pass away, and they like hold services there. Like, the community school, the school is the community, and they invest in it. They also, amazingly, with the tiny little tax base, are able to pass bonds because people so dearly care for what the school offers them.
Yeah.
And then you move to West Ada, and it's like 45 different campuses, and it's kind of like you are part of this collective, but there's no continuity from Kuna to North Eagle. That's one of the problems with passing bond for West Ada in general. It's that, like, you can't rouse sympathy from somebody in Kuna when people in Eagle are saying they need like another elementary school, and the people in Kuna are like, we're not doing that.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting if you looked at to compare the number of natives in Marsing versus the number of natives in Kuna, the percentages, even if you just did like a per capita, it's Marsing is still remained very much Marsing because they don't have, I don't think, as many implants per se, like that have just moved in. And so I think when you have that, you have locals taking care of locals, and that's why bonds pass. And so when you get into these other situations where you're relying on new people moving in versus the people who have been there for a long time, the expectations of both are very different.
Right.
And the way that the laws are set up on advertising for those bonds is maybe not beneficial to those trying to get them passed. And so,
are you just saying they run really bad messaging? You're like, I didn't say that, but I wouldn't disagree with it.
Right. I wouldn't disagree with it. It's tough. Like, so I would say, like, have you heard anything like in Canyon County? My dad used to be the sheriff. I think he ran 3 jail bonds to get a new jail. And that would have been seriously over 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, the jail was full in Canyon County. We still have the same jail.
I know.
So we've doubled the population with the same jail, and you can't pass a bond. And I am telling you, I was fresh out of college. I was trying to help with that. It's very hard to market something because you really can't market. You're tied to, I'm just going to provide facts.
Right.
And we're in such a dire need for a jail, but nobody even talks about it now. And so,
why? Like, what does Sheriff Donahue do?
Well, when COVID hit, they, again, I was there, and the district courts and the prosecuting attorney and the sheriff, they all got together, and they basically did a brand new catch and release program. And so,
No.
You don't know about this?
Keri, I'm an idiot.
What?
You're going to have to fill me in right now. So during COVID, there was no capacity to store people that were getting arrested, that they were doing catch and release.
Yes. Sometimes you didn't even get booked. So I'm not even saying book and release. It is catch and release program that never stopped. And that's the only way that we even have a functioning jail right now. If we still had a program where you committed a felony, there's felonies that you don't even get booked. And
what?
Mm-hmm. And so there's
what felonies? You got to tell me. Come on. Don't leave me hanging on this one.
Well, I know that there was a case. This is a real case. There was a known gang member who committed a crime one day. He was booked, but he was subsequently released that day. He committed murder that afternoon at the Buffalo Wild Wings. And again, more people should be talking about that. But
when did that happen?
During COVID.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but really, we have the tent jail that has been converted to like minimal security. There's basically, they are the commissioners right now. I know that they're trying to work hard on getting a women's facility, but like if you went and looked at the numbers of what are the felons, the people who have like murdered or had domestic battery, like the violent offenders.
Yeah.
We don't have enough beds for those. And so when you look at the numbers, sometimes some of the numbers look like we've got open beds. Well, it's because the people that would normally be on catch and release now, they're let go. So there's beds there, but we don't have enough beds. There was one point we didn't have enough beds for the number of people that we had that we were trying for murder at one point. And so Sheriff Donahue, he didn't let them go. I should say we weren't letting murderers go, but that's a hard job for the sheriff to manage where he's moving all these people and based on security levels. It's a hard job. And so the sheriff has done the best that he can. And
he just doesn't, it's not something that they want to even politically touch with expanding the jail. They're like, don't ask. Yeah.
Sheriff Donahue has not run a bond yet. And I think part of it was watching what had happened. And now, actually, they did try to run a bond. And out in the county, they tried to run that big bond not that long ago. It was a few years ago.
Payette just got shot down.
Yeah.
Sheriff Creech, I was chatting with him the other day because he came on and did a show about it, and then
it's not sexy. Like, people are like, you want us to build a $1 billion jail? No one wants to do that. It's not
$1 billion though. It's like 20 million.
It was 20 million 20 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ada County almost passed a jail bond to expand their jail. They missed it by like 50 votes. They had 66.5% or something. They needed 66.7.
That's how ours all just barely. We got majority on every bond that we went through, but didn't hit the super majority. And so, like, there again, legislature, come on now. We have to have jails, and we were not able to fund them, and so.
Did you see that again? I think it was Rep Tanner said today, reiterated, Idaho doesn't have a earning problem. We have a spending problem.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how any of this works. I assume there's space for everyone to be right. I just don't understand how it all pencils out. Because at some point it's like, what's the quality argument? What's like, okay, is a jail system a want or a need?
Right.
Who knows? And they're like, well, if you don't have it right now, you don't actually need it. It's like, how do you gauge that though? And again, I'm not even saying you're wrong. Maybe that is the barometer. If we're existing today, right now in our current iteration, then we don't actually need anything. Is everybody alive? Most people. And like, is everybody okay? Most people. That's like, then we're fine.
But the state's jails are full too. So the prison system, totally full too. So that's part of why the county jails are full, is because the state is not picking up inmates.
Yes, I did hear that.
That's true. And that's a like decades old problem. But when you said Ada County, this made me think about the Ada County jail. You know where it's located? Next to the Boise Town Square.
Yeah.
It's like in the middle of a commerce area where people are at, right? It doesn't hurt anyone. One of the things with Caldwell and the Canyon County bond they've all been fighting about location. There was one location on the Caldwell Boulevard in between Nampa and Caldwell. They were going to put it there on the Nampa Caldwell Boulevard. And then people were like, no, you can't put it there. So then that died. And so then they were going to move it out on the way to Notice, where they might be putting the women's jail. Well, then it was like, no, you can't put it out there in the middle of farm ground. And you can't put it out there because there's no services. Oh, and you can't put it out there because it's so far away from the court system. And then you had people that were saying, we want it in the city. Let's just build where the campus is. And then you had the city saying, we don't want that by the downtown. And it's like, where do you put it? And so I have said multiple times, again, getting people into the same room, you have to have jails, unfortunately. And
or how about this? I had a director, Bree Derrican, from the Department of Corrections, and we chatted a lot about recidivism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, okay, look, what if we had fewer people going to jail, right? You got 1,000 bed capacity. What if you could, instead of having 1,400 people you're storing through the judicial system and then waiting, what if you could decrease that? It's like, okay, that's actually a viable option. What could we do to decrease recidivism so that we have fewer people coming through the justice system? That sounds like a great idea until you're like, yeah, but it costs like $1. They're like, whoa, I'm not investing $1 to help those hardened criminals. And I'm like, then you're going to get more of them. Like, I don't understand. All of these things come back to, you need resources. You either need resources for beds for people that are incarcerated or going through judicial system, or you need to increase options so that crime and a life of crime and these felonies that people get convicted for, those are so undesirable. Like, I have this ridiculous joke, which is like, how many prostitutes that do you know that also have a PhD in computer science? Like, no, it doesn't exist, because the computer science gal has an infinite capacity to engage the world and provide a service that everybody likes, computer science.
Yeah.
It's the people that don't have anything else that engage in crime, drugs, and prostitution, things of this nature. So it's kind of like, there needs to be an investment somewhere, because ultimately people are going to provide for themselves. They're not just going to wither and die on the sidewalk. They're going to provide for themselves somehow, be it through computer science employment or crime, one of the other.
Yeah. But unfortunately, not every person wants to, like, if you were to hand an opportunity to every person, not everyone would take the opportunity to learn. And so recidivism is something that you could detract from some people, but some people you still just can't. So it would take a viable program within the system to be implemented, but you still have to have the jails.
We're never going to eliminate people. Like, if you have a murderer who just feels that that's the best way to resolve interpersonal conflict, that you're likely not going to do much with that person. I do not have this ridiculous idea that, like, if everybody got PhDs and hashtag learn to code, that we wouldn't need jail systems. I'm just saying, look, maybe we could reduce the demand by 10 to 20% by decreasing the number of people that can come back into the system, right? Like, maybe that's possible. Now, mind you, I don't know anything about criminal justice or funding jails. It was like, okay, can we do something to decrease the number of people that end up back here?
Yeah. So one of the things about...
How did we get on this? We were talking about, like, density and stuff.
We were talking about land use. Oh, sorry, I leaned back. We were talking about land use. Well, because when you talk about services, jails are one of the things that you need in a community to be safe. And so I think a lot of people don't think about what the cost is to really be in a community and
be safe.
Be safe.
Caldwell has done a spanking job of decreasing crime over the last year, hasn't it? Like, they're crushing.
Years. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out too, because the new mayor.
Hey. Yeah. Who'd you vote for? Just kidding. Don't answer.
I live in the county, so I didn't vote for anybody.
Nice. Yeah, way to be. You get to avoid all of that.
I really do.
Yeah. Way to be. Yeah. It is going to be a wild time to see what plays out.
But Chief Ingram has done an incredible job. He really, there's been some drama and stuff, but if you look at the rates, I mean, he has drastically reduced. I love how he has got officers on the street. The past police chiefs were also getting people on the street, but not at the level that Chief Ingram is. And of course, I'm biased because I've got horses, but I love his new mounted cavalry unit.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, they did. I think they're proactive policing. They did like 10,000 stops or something last year, which is more than Meridian.
Yeah.
Right. And Meridian's like twice the size or something of Caldwell.
I got stopped.
How was that?
They were really nice to me.
Very professional?
It was very professional.
Very professional.
And they warned me, and I have been good ever since.
Oh,
so, yeah.
my gosh. Yeah. I have had the good fortune of not getting stopped yet.
Really?
Yeah.
You are a very good law-abiding citizen.
Listen, when I moved here, I'm like, I want to live here. I don't want to exist here, but live in my head, like whenever I go back to the state that shall not be named,
right?
I am horrified the second I land because like we fly into Oakland. Oh my God. Like it is a thing. And then you get on the freeway, you're like, we just got to get out here as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. Apparently everybody else thought the same thing because they're going like 95 bumper to bumper and you're just white knuckling the car or like the steering. You're like,
because you can't slow down.
You can't slow down.
No.
Like one time, I think it was the last time or the time before when we flew and we were leaving the airport property in the rental car, we're leaving and coming up the street on the wrong side of the street is this like 1995 Honda Civic coming up the wrong. So it's coming at us. We're at the stoplight and it's coming at us. It like spins these donuts in the middle of the road and then turns and takes off. I'm like, oh my God, kid, lock the doors. Like, and we're just going to go. Like, just blow through the red light and get on the freeway and get out. Like, I didn't actually do that. I wanted to. It's one of those things where like, this is wonky, man.
Yeah.
Like it is some sketchy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, when I moved here, I was like, I'm not going to drive 95. I'm going to take a beat and I'm going to slow down to the speed limit. You know, like I'll go 5 over, but I'm not going like 15.
No, I don't think that. I mean, that's very rare when someone does that here. I think people like to say that Idaho drivers kind of are rude, but really the ones that are rude, I think, are the ones that are going the speed limit on the road. No, I'm teasing.
Well, if they think they're rude, well, I'm not going to say that, but.
No, but 5 over is courteous.
5 over is courteous. And just get to the right.
Right.
I just get on the right.
Right.
I just get to the right. No problem. I got like a 20-year-old Nissan Frontier and I just like hit the gas and, in 5 minutes it starts accelerating. I'm like, and it's not going anywhere quickly. Just get to the right, man. Yeah. Let's just be chill. Oh, here's a question for you. What do you think about traffic and roads? Because this is also an area where it's like, okay, look, we have our freeways and our highways, the whole bit. We have our main transportation corridors. Nobody wants buses, right? VRT's like, hey guys, this isn't a bad idea. And people are like, no, we don't want buses. It's like, okay,
our trucks.
That's fine. Love the truck. Love the truck. How much real estate do you want to take up expanding the lanes?
Right.
And how many billions of dollars is that? And then we just come down to single-use real estate again. You're moving one person in one car across this patch of land. Same thing with like, we're just going to keep pushing out the 1-acre houses, right? How far do we push before we start increasing transportation density?
Right. I'm shocked that we still don't have an HOV lane on the freeway. Because at this point with really every time VRT or Treasure Valley Transit, like there's a couple different options, but they all get rejected. And the buses are normally pretty limited in use. And so the rejection of those types of public transit system is definitely one of the things that I think is driving up the cost of services, because like, wait till we have a big snow event. We had this event called Snowmageddon.
Oh yeah.
And, we only had like 2 plows.
That was 2018, wasn't it? There was one in 2000, because that's like when a bunch of barns, like their roofs broke or stuff.
Onion sheds were collapsing, and it was a pretty serious event. But it's like people in the community had an expectation that their level of service would be
a lot higher than it was.
And it's like, no, actually, we're not going to maintain a whole fleet of snow trucks that never get used. I mean, think about this winter. They've got pulled out once, I think.
Did they?
I think so.
I don't even think it snowed.
Yeah, well, we got snow in Caldwell once.
Didn't get it over here. Lame Ada County.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know. Ridiculous. But we don't even have it on the mountains.
I know.
It's like a little dusting. It's like,
it is.
But theoretically, we're supposed to get it in like January and February, right?
Yeah.
Like it didn't snow till later.
Right, last year.
Yeah.
It does keep coming a little bit later. But transportation is going to be a constant need that is going to have to keep working on funding mechanisms. And like, they're going to have to probably build some different byways. And again,
byways, highways, skyways. Yeah.
The need's not going to quit.
Yeah.
especially in this community. I don't know. I don't think that we're going to talk people into all of a sudden changing, which is unfortunate. I really wish that we could get some type of faster transit, because like me, I think I would be inclined on jumping on like a high-speed train to Boise. I would totally do that, but I'm not going to get on a bus.
They're trying to bring a train.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to do that. And if they do that, like all they just get a couple aluminum cans, throw them on the train tracks. Come on, guys. Like we got to be able to do this.
And we have already, like UP has a line that goes from Caldwell to Boise. Like,
they have it. It goes by the Ford Idaho Center, contentious topic. But like they have a rail line that goes the whole way, and they could drop you right off at like the Micron.
They could. They could drop you off the Idaho Center, CWI. It's not that far from BSU. Comes to Caldwell. Like, I wish the state could get a little bit firmer, but like Union Pacific is like an entire country of its own. Like you can't really tell UP what to do.
Yeah.
But someone should.
Something's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
Like, because again, the alternative is first off, the cost of real estate just continues to go up.
Yeah.
So the cost of operating, even if it's an inefficient bus line or a budding, rail line, compared to adding a lane, like how many billions of dollars are you going to do to add a lane?
Yeah. Think about, where Garrity is?
Sure.
Idaho Center.
Okay.
They have redone Garrity and the Costco exit in Nampa. Like, I want to know like the total amount of money that they've spent redoing those
oh my gosh.
Overpasses over and over again. Both of them have been done like over 3 times. I think they're on the 4th iteration at Garrity. It's insane. So to your point, but would you, do you ever take the bus?
No.
Me neither. Would you take a high-speed train?
Sure.
Yeah. Would you really?
Sure.
Me too. I would totally do it.
Yeah.
I think like even if whether I was working or, I mean, there's some fun reasons to go downtown Boise, but I will admit I don't want to go and get stuck in the traffic on the freeway. So
okay, check this out. I have a studio downtown, right? That I hang out at almost every single day during the legislative session.
Okay.
Because I have to be down there because there ain't no way you're convincing the legislators to like get in a car and drive half an hour both ways to come do like a 25-minute show.
Yeah.
So I have the studio that's like a 4-minute walk from the Capitol. I have to drive down there. So I drive down there. First off, I'm staring at the sun. Literally, if you're heading east on State at like 7:30 in the morning, 8 in the morning, you are just getting blinded, right? So that's horrifying. I think I'm going to die all the time. Mm-hmm. There's that. There's all the construction as you're going past like far west. Like this is going to be it. I'm staring at plants and I get in some car accident because somebody can't see me.
Yeah.
And I have to so I lose an hour there and back easy. And it's $20 to park in the damn garages every day. Every day. It's $100 a week. It's over $400 a month. Like it's wild. If there was a bus line, and I know there is a bus line, but like I don't engage in it. 1, because I'm always like talking to people as I'm driving back and forth. And 2, it's not, again, I spoke with Elaine Clegg about this. It's like, if I knew that the bus line was more frequent, I would jump on it because I'm like, if I miss one, I grab the next one. I also have problems because I have kids. So if there's an emergency, like I can't wait for the bus. I got to like zip back if there's something that my wife needs or, like I want to be a responsible dad.
Right.
All of these problems is like, I don't take the bus for that reason.
Yeah.
But I would.
Yeah, I would definitely if it was a train. Like because think about the train systems that we've probably all been on, whether it's Seattle or California has great trains, but like New York maybe. Like, but how often can like every 5 to 10 minutes you can jump on another one? I mean, that's pretty convenient.
You ever been on BART? Bay Area Rapid Transit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember I had this notable bus trip or BART trip when I was like a little kid, back when my parents were still married. My dad was like, come on, we're going to get your mom a piece of jewelry. And we went into the city because we were living in the burbs, right? Jump on the BART train. And my dad gets me like a hot dog before we get on. And then the train comes and you can't take food on the train. So we had to like wolf down the hot dog, but it was really, really hot and burn my mouth the whole bit. Get there. That's before the city was crazy. And, and like the BART was fine. Now, first off, we're not going into the city for anything. Okay. That's number 1. 2, we ain't my kids aren't jumping on the BART train next to like the vomit seat and the crazy person. Like that's not, and again, I don't think that's the train's fault. I'm just saying, like I've engaged in it when it was clean and it was a viable transportation option.
So, but you just kind of described, well, let's wrap back all the way to where we started with why are people scared of high density housing? I think they're also scared of transit because of experiences that people have in larger cities. And so probably our transit would be the experience that you had
back in the
day, but people, they can't wrap their head around that because that's not what they've experienced in the bigger cities. And so,
but go on a train in Singapore or like go to Tokyo, right? Like these are cultural problems. The reason that people stopped enforcing laws in California has nothing to do with the fact that the BART train existed.
Right.
The BART train existed, people stopped enforcing the law, and now BART became what it is. Like these are two completely different things. Like you can't spit in the street in Singapore, right? Like that train system is going to be quite choice.
Yep. It was like when we were building Indian Creek Plaza, we were talking about the bathrooms, and it was like we could have went cheap on a bathroom, like it's a public bathroom.
Sure.
But you know what? When you build something cheap and it looks cheap, people treat it like it's cheap. And so we ended up building a really nice bathroom because when you walk into something that's nice, you're like, oh, wow, I should keep that countertop clean. That's pretty.
Right.
And so it's setting that expectation when you create something and build something. Make it so that it's nice so that your community's proud of it, and then take care of it and put in security measures and enforce laws.
Put in security measure and enforce laws.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah. God bless it. Keri, listen, I'm sure this is the first of many. I know it's a working day. Do you have anything you want to hit on here at the end?
No, I guess I was going to visit about property rights and what that means. Are you interested in that? Or next time?
Let's put a pin in that and let's do that next time because that's a very, very broad subject as well.
It really is.
And I do absolutely want to talk about it, but I don't want to the screensaver came on, which means we've been going for an hour. Oh,
that went fast.
I know.
It was kind of fun.
I know. Listen, you get sucked into the zone. It happens. Property rights, next show. Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
God bless it. And the organization you work with again is Growing Together.
Yep. Check it out. growingtogetheridaho.com or .org.
Which is it?
It's both. You can type in either and it'll take you there. So growingtogetheridaho.org. Go that way.
I got to tell you something funny about that when we get off. It's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for coming in. We'll do it again.
Thank you.